This is the Coavas window privacy film. It comes in a bag like this. Sometimes it's all wrapped up, sometimes it's not. This is with everything off of it. Come with instructions, pretty simple. You don't need it super detailed, but I'll show you how to do it. What I've got is some sort of measurement. I got a square here. You want to measure your length. You want to get it slightly longer, and then the height of it, you want it slightly longer than that too. What I've measured out to is 35 by 16, and that's inches. And the window here is slightly smaller than that. It turns out I didn't actually need to cut off much off the bottom because it only went to there anyway. So what we do is we get it up in the corner there first, and we want it even right here and even on there. You could start at any of the corners. I found it's easiest to start at the top because then when you work over, you can cut down here and then cut over here, and you'll really only have to cut on two sides. Whereas if you start in the middle, you get to work your bubbles out. The bubbles might work a little better that way to get out, but then you're gonna have to cut all four sides. And if you kind of get one side pushed too far and the other side is cut, then that will pull on that side and you'll have a gap. You'll also want some sort of glass cleaner, and then just tap water is fine to spray on the window, and getting a lot on there is way better than not having enough. I did that once, didn't have enough, and it makes all sorts of gaps. Getting a bunch of water basically completely wet is better. And I've got this invisible shield, just a piece of plastic for putting on phone protectors. And you can use anything flat, anything plastic. Don't use any glass or anything metal or sharp, but even an old credit card or something like that. Those fake ones you get in the mail, those will be just fine. First thing you want to do is go ahead and spray it and clean it, wipe it all down. You don't want to have any streaks on there because that could adversely affect the way it adheres. Since I'm cutting to 35 inches, I've got it measured out. I'm just going to make a 35 mark there. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. If you do want it perfectly straight, you can find your mark there, put it up against, and then just line the bottom up, and then it'll be pretty much perfectly straight. I couldn't do that with 3 hands because I don't have 3 hands, but yeah, I got it cut straight, and I always tape it on the edge of something so it doesn't curl back and under when you're trying to cut, and that'll really throw it off. That you don't want. You do want this saturated, and even if you get a bit of a stream on there, that is totally fine. Some running of the water right there, but that's pretty good. That's what we want. And then I will go ahead and start up here and show you that, hopefully. I mean, I don't have 3 hands, so it's gonna be kind of hard to do. After you peel that film off, it will look like this. It is a lot more pliable. You want the very, not slimy side, but the very smooth side. You want that actually up against the window. The rough side is what you want pointing in towards you. If you do that the opposite way, it will not cling very well at all, and it'll just fall right off. So I'm gonna start up in that upper corner and then work my way over. I was not able to actually get that on camera, but I started right there, pushed it here, some bubbles came up. I had to pull from this side and pull it till the bubbles mostly came out. If you get some like even this big, that's fine because you can then push them out. As long as there's enough water, then it will actually push out. And you want to work it down like that and get it as close as you can. There's gonna be some gaps, but that is what you use the blade to cut that for. And as long as you have it almost perfect, I mean, there'd be a tiny gap up there, you can squeeze most of it out. Nobody's gonna be able to see through that. If that's the whole reason you're getting this is so people can't see through, then you want as small as gap as possible. But if you're getting this just for a light diffusion, then that might not mean as much to you. That might not be as important. I was going to get the blade, but I figured I might as well push these out first to get the water out. And if you have just a little bit of a sliver in there that you don't want, that's fine. You can just cut that later. But getting all the bubbles out is a priority. Otherwise, it'll be kind of ugly. If you don't care about that, it doesn't really matter. But if you do, that's not fun to have to stare at those. So get most of them out. Just basically push down to the nearest side, and water will come out. And just go ahead and wipe that up. As you can see, a bunch of that. I gotta wipe that up. This part I am likely not going to be able to catch on camera because if I do it with one hand, I'm gonna screw it up. So what I do is I take squeegee part that I was using earlier, and I hold it in the front there so it holds it pretty close, and I move along with the blade on the back end, which is right there, and that follows it. And just keep it basically at a 45-degree angle, so not straight up and down, but not front towards yourself either. You want to add pretty much a 45 and go all the way down. Again, this looks a little weird because I can't really do it with one hand and film with the other, but basically this right here would be the knife where my fingernail is, and then right here would be the part that's holding it. See how close that gets? And that'll get a near perfect cut. So I've got that cut and got a little bit of bubbles there. I can work those out in a minute. A lot of times, and it didn't happen this time, but a lot of times I won't get a perfect notch right in there right when I start. And if you pull this out when you're trying to detach the bottom part that you just cut, it'll pull all of it out. So you want to go ahead and hold that if it's still stuck, and then just yank this with the other hand, and that will separate it right there. But I've got down all the way, so I need to work the bubbles out here, and then I will go up on this side and do the same thing. And there we have it. I've got it in, got everything cut, and got it pushed down. And I'm honestly gonna give this a 10 out of 10. Usually I can find something I don't like about any given product, but this one, anytime I've had it screw up, is actually something that I've done myself to screw it up. So this actually works pretty well, and for the price, I really like it. So 10 out of 10 on this stuff. I got some bubbles to work out there, but that's my own fault for not getting them out in the first place. And one thing to note is if it does start to peel up, it's because there was not water in there, or there wasn't enough water. So what you do, as you can see the whole thing here, is hold it on one side. You don't want the whole thing to come off at any given point, but if part of it's coming off, peel about half of it back and hold it, spray the other side with a bunch of water, and then squeegee that off, and then do the other side if you need to. If you take the whole thing off, then it's gonna be a real pain to get it exactly as it fits when you've cut it. But thanks for watching. I hope this helps somebody. And again, 10 out of 10, I actually really do like this, especially for the price.